it just felt like you want to support as much as you can. And also you want to kind of just be around that energy, because I really hope this isn't the last time we ever get to experience something like that. Seeing our culture displayed on the red carpet with no need to explain what it is. It was really, really cool. And I'm so glad it happened. And I'm so proud of all of them. And it's just, this is not a moment, it's a movement.
Mabuhay and welcome. Welcome back to Filipina-American Creative. Thanks for joining me on this next episode, where you'll see me host the podcast Filipina on the Rise, while Crystal Fabella, the podcast's creator and regular host, is on her break. Today, I am excited to talk with Kimee BALMILERO, an amazing actor who is gracing our television screens and making the world laugh and feel good with her effervescent energy and her beautiful soul. While she more recently played opposite Joe Coy as his sister Geraldine in the TV pilot Josep, you've probably seen her on CBS's Hawaii Five-0 and Magnum P.I. as medical examiner Dr. Noelani Cunha. In addition to playing a wide range of other major television roles, Kimee first started her career in musical theater, starring on Broadway in the original cast of Mamma Mia, as well as performing in the second national tour of Miss Saigon, which she joined right out of high school. The reason I love this interview with Kimee is not only because we both have a lot of shared history in the performing arts, but because she has persevered as a Filipina in an industry that is only now just starting to share our stories in a big way. She recalls a time not so long ago when she could only audition for the one Asian role in a major production, to now going after and winning lead after lead, regardless of her ethnicity and skin color. And that despite paving the way for Filipino representation in the entertainment industry, Kimee continues to hold humility and hope for what's to come, because she knows this is just the beginning for all of us. Now, on to the interview. All right. I saw that you were at the Easter Sunday premiere.
Yes. A last minute decision, literally decided to go Monday morning.
Yeah.
In while I was in Honolulu, and then hopped a flight that night. But this one was extra special. I mean, not only because, for obvious reasons, that Easter Sunday is the first feature film to be released by a major studio. Just worked with Joe on his pilot, so wanted to go support him.
The thing that we can call this is a first step. I mean, the first of many first steps that we've had as a culture and as a community.
I think a lot of people will see this as the first step, but this is the first super public step.
Yep.
You know, one of the first mainstream steps. But again, there have been so many films and projects that have featured Filipino-American stories by Filipino-American creatives that have led to this moment. You know, some people will be like, oh, I've never heard of them before. I've never seen them. But these people have been around. You know what I mean? They have been around. They have been working. So this is definitely the first major mainstream step. But I also just want people to remember that we've been working for a really long time, you know, and we're ready, obviously.
That's such a good point that you made, because as soon as you started talking about that, how it's not the first film that's been put out about Filipino culture and about Filipino families, I immediately went to Ava's recent film, Yellow Rose. And I was like,
oh my gosh, I loved that. I love that so much.
Film. Yeah. She's like the new iteration of so many other talented Filipinos and Filipinas that have come before her and been in films. And it's exactly like you said, like this is the first time that it's had like this huge exposure and huge like footprint on the Hollywood main, stage, so to speak. Tell me about that experience that you had working with Joe on his pilot.
It was awesome. I think anyone that's worked with Joe will say this. He is the biggest supporter, the hardest worker. I think that's the other thing too. We're so lucky to have someone like him, a Filipino-American role model like him, because he's worked so hard. Again, this is not his first time, doing something this big. I mean, he's created his career. So I think one, working with someone like Joe, who is 100% invested in the project because it's so important to him. I mean, he holds these stories so close to his heart. He's such a family person. His family's so important to him. They're around him all the time.
Really?
Like his sister. Yeah. His sister, Geraldine, is amazing. We connected. And then when you add on the part of everyone being Filipino-American and also telling a Filipino-American story, now we're in a space where we don't really have to explain anything. We don't have to explain why this is funny. We don't have to explain why this table of food, looks the way it does. Everyone, including the crew, even if they were Filipino or not, they all knew what was going on. They're like, oh yeah, I love lumpia. Oh my gosh, lechon is my favorite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like now you're kind of like the one cast member or person in the project that's like, oh, well, yeah, I eat dinuguan. That's pig's blood. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, I love dinuguan. You know what I mean? You can have these conversations. Even when you're reading the story, reading the script, you're like, I know someone like this. My mom is also like this. And again, like Joe says this so many times, it's not just a Filipino-American family story. We just happen to be Filipino-American, you know? Obviously, the pilot didn't go through, but I hope that this opens the door, you know? We did the work. We've all done the work. Not just this show, but so many other shows have done the work to just open that door just a little bit more. Now we're like banging on it with Easter Sunday. You know what I mean? We're banging on it with this opportunity with the pilot. That's such a huge accomplishment. So yeah, I mean, it's a great experience and I look forward to seeing more stories like that. I've always seen someone that looked like me on television, you know, so many Asian Americans on my TV screen all the time in local commercials. My governor was Hawaiian. My lieutenant governor was Filipino, Ben Cayetano. You know what I mean? So growing up in Hawaii, and also even if my friends weren't Filipino, they weren't weirded out by the culture because, again, Hawaii is a mixed plate of Filipino, Japanese, Chinese, Portuguese, Korean, Hawaiian, you know what I mean? Polynesian, so many. So we're just familiar. That's our neighbors. Those are our coworkers. Those are our family eventually, you know, when people marry into your family. So yeah, I think for me, I never thought that I couldn't be in something. I mean, I never had the idea that, oh, I'm going to be a big movie star. I just enjoyed performing. But, you know, when I was in high school or even younger, actually, I remember seeing a high school production of Grease and the Sandy was Filipino,
Wow.
you know?
Wow. Yeah. What I loved about what you shared with me is that, you know, you were like, oh, I'm done. Like you were just saying, like, you're like, oh, I kind of figured I was done. But then the industry wasn't done with you.
Yes.
Like, yeah, the way that you put that, I was like, that's brilliant. So what does that mean? What did that look like? What happened?
I mean, Hawaii now has so many productions. You know, we have like NCIS Hawaii, Magnum, Duki Kami Aloha, lots of other things kind of come through. There was only like one big show happening at the time when I moved home, which was Hawaii Five-0. What's cool about living in a place like Hawaii too is that it is a small community and we have access to these casting directors who make themselves available. They're just so wonderful and giving. They want their actors to do well.
And they've always been like that.
They've always been like that.
Interesting.
They
Great.
would hire local as much as they can. Moving back home to Hawaii and saying what I thought was goodbye to the industry ended up being the best decision of my life because one, I got to follow my heart. You know what I mean? I didn't let my career or the idea of I have to be around or people are going to forget me. You know what I mean? I didn't let that take over. I was just like, this is what I need to do right now. I accept it. Whatever happens, happens. And something amazing happened. Gosh, I started Miss Saigon 1997 and I booked Five-0 in 2016. And I'd say like that was my very first like real step into TV film because it was a huge network show. Yeah, and that led to Magnum P.I because my character crossed over. I know, amazing.
I feel like I keep just saying "wow" the whole time.
Yeah, no, I'm like in my head. I'm like, wow. Like, what I will say about the Hawaii community is that it's even smaller than you think, and everyone is really supportive. And what I love about what's happening now with shows like, you know, NCIS Hawaii having a female Filipino-American lead, you know, or Dugi Kame Aloha, female Asian-American local family. Like what I love about it is that our Hawaii community now can kind of enter the room as themselves, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So there's support that way with the productions that are happening right now. And I think there's a lot of support within our community because we all have the same goal of wanting to see more of our local talent on these screens. People are doing a much better job at that. Like, how can we serve our community by teaching them, you know, little things? Like I held a self-tape class like a couple weeks ago, you know, for local actors. And it's like all these things that mainland or LA, New York actors who are constantly self-taping that we already know. But because they get, our actors maybe get 1, maybe 2 auditions a month, they're just not in that groove yet. So it's just little things like that, like congratulating and, shouting from the rooftops when someone even just gets a co-star. Not just a co-star, I don't want to say that, but gets their first co-star.
Yeah.
And it might just be, the line might just be like, help, because even small as that seems, it's hard to do. It's hard to get a co-star. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think that as far as the Hawaii community goes, there's wonderful energy here. I haven't felt any like major or any actually like competitive, spirit at all,
Yeah. No, just because like in LA and New York, it's just like it's sort of an expected that you're going to walk into an environment like that, whether that it really is the case or not. But in Hawaii, it's
But I think again, that's changing because of the people who are, well, one, thankfully people are getting called out on it. Like you can't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Like you've done that for too long. And if you do that now, you're weird. You're really weird.
Yeah.
Like keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the people who are, again, who are in control, like I'll bring back Dewey Kame Aloha. That's by Courtney Kang, who has family connections here, and Melvin Marr, who's Asian American and produced Josep. There are people that are in places now, in positions that can make these decisions to create more supportive spaces for us.
Oh, so exciting.
I think that's very exciting.
Yeah.
It's like a Lizzo moment. It's about damn time. You know what I mean? Thankfully, these people know they're not just a part of our community, but they understand what it means to bring it in. Like I ran into Courtney the other day and she was like, I just want to keep making stuff here in Hawaii. And I was like, thank goodness for someone like you. You know what I mean? Because she sees the value in these stories.
Yeah.
These stories that haven't been heard. I love being home. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to continue working at home, and things are happening. If I think people again are just open to finding new faces and finding talent, no matter where you are. So that's really cool. Everything's really exciting right now and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm here for you. I'm here for everything.
Yeah. And I really think too, just the fact that you've been there, that you've had a presence is what enabled us to come to this place that we're at now. The fact that you're in these shows, the fact that just that you have a presence, that you're part of these shows that is starting to pave the way for more of these stories to show up, I think is just so incredible.
Yeah. I'm stoked to be a very small part of it. I mean, it's great. It's really, really cool. And it's cool to be able to, again, open up an email and the breakdown specifically says Filipino-American.
Yeah.
Or even I've had moments where it doesn't say Filipino-American and maybe they're writing this role for, another person or someone else in mind, but it doesn't really matter. They just, the actual character has nothing to do with that ethnicity. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So rather than like try and, what I think, especially as Filipino-Americans, try and trick someone into saying I'm this other Asian American, because again, we would more so see other Asian Americans listed, right?
Right.
Specific scripts. Now we can say like, hey, I'm actually Filipino. Is it okay if we change this for her to be Filipino? And I haven't had any issues with that so far.
Incredible.
So that's really cool too, because it's like, yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter. At no point does she walk out and say like, give a whole speech about her ethnic background. So why not change it? And we're okay to ask those questions and to, make those adjustments, especially if they want us to be a part of this project.
Wow, we have come so far. That's it for this episode. If you liked it and would like to hear more, head on over to the Filipina on the Rise podcast. Also be sure to give this episode a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks for watching. Paalam. Goodbye.